What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Alchemy Online. This week, we are building a new skate feature for the park here that's super simple, easy to put together, and is sort of a throwback feature. That's right, we're talking about slide bars. So we're gonna go over all the materials you need to build one yourself, show you the process, and then test it out. So stay tuned. So first things first, we're gonna take a look at our supplies. To build our slide bar, we're gonna be using PVC, super slick, easy to skate. The 50/50s will eventually cause some cracking, so you can substitute steel, but again, we want it to be nice and slick and lightweight, so we're using 1 1/4 inch PVC. We got 2 of those in a 10-foot length, and then we got 3 10-foot 2x4s, which, depending on when you're watching this, could be $400 to buy, could be $3,000, we'll see how it goes. But luckily there's only 3 of them for this whole build. Other than that, all we're gonna need for today is our drill with a couple different drill bits for punching our holes and some deck screws to put it all together. So let's go ahead and start building. So for step 1 of this, we're gonna work on putting our 3 2x4s together. To do that, we're gonna measure down on our center 2x4 about 1 inch from the top, and we're gonna mark it. Because our PVC is 1 1/4 inch, we're gonna have that leftover 1/4 inch sticking up, which is gonna give us that surface to slide or grind on. So once you've marked 1 inch down on the edge of your 2x4, you're gonna set this 2x4 right on that line, and we're gonna tack these 2 2x4s together with some long deck screws. Once you've got that first screw in, we're gonna head on down to the other side of our 2x4, and we're gonna do the same thing. We wanna mark it 1 inch so that our 2x4s are parallel and level with each other, so that that PVC sits up at that perfect 1/4 inch height. Once you've measured and marked the other end of your 2x4, go ahead and tack them together. Now we want a little extra support, so I'm gonna run down the length of this 2x4, adding a few more screws before we flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Once you've got your 3 2x4s all sandwiched together, we can stand it up, and we're gonna go ahead and test fit our PVC, making sure that it's sticking up above that center support so that, again, it's easier for us to get 50/50s and board slides without hanging up on that wood bit. It looks like we've got a good fit, so all that we have left to do is to pilot hole out our PVC and install it with the rest of our screws. So to install our PVC, we're gonna need to put 2 sets of holes all the way down it. The first hole we're putting in, I'm using a 532 bit, and basically you want it to be big enough that the threaded part of your screw makes it through, but small enough that the head of the screw isn't gonna go through. And we're gonna start off at one end, drilling a hole through the top, all the way through the PVC, through the bottom. So we want that hole to go all the way through with our small bit. Once your first pilot hole has gone through both sides of your PVC, you're gonna switch out that bit for a larger one that's gonna be wide enough for the head of our screw to pass through. And what we're gonna do is put the bigger hole on the outside so that we can drill that screw all the way through the small hole on the back end, and that's gonna hold it tight to our 2x4. The last step, now that both holes are drilled out on our PVC, is to screw it in place. And to do that, you're gonna need an extended bit. I'm using Phillips today. Whatever you're using, you just need to make sure it's long enough to make it through the outer hole, all the way down to that bottom hole, making sure this screw is snug inside there so our PVC doesn't pop off while we're skating it. It's important to point out the angle that we're putting these holes into our PVC. We're doing kind of a soft 45 so that that screw is gonna go down through our outside 2x4 and into our middle 2x4. So we're wanting to hug that PVC tight down and in. So avoid the temptation to go straight from the top or straight from the side. We actually wanna catch that 45 so that we're pulling both of those in towards themselves. Once you've got one side in, you're gonna do the exact same thing one more time with your other piece of PVC. Again, keeping your bits on a 45 degree, getting into the corner joint of these 2 2x4s as you work your way down the PVC. Once you've got it all put together, the next step's pretty simple. Go ahead and skate it. So slide bar features like this are a whole lot of fun, but of course, like any ramp, they have their limitations. A few of the problems with this style of ramp are they can be tipped over, especially if you're working on more axle stalls, 50/50s. It does board slides really well, but when you jam at it real hard, it's gonna slide, move, or tip. You can fix that by adding some extra leg supports to it if you want, mounting it to the ground somewhere if you have your own space to do that, or call it what it is, have it be a slippery slide bar, enjoy it for that, and if you want a regular rail, go out and make a regular rail.